Good morning. So my name is Johan Payan. I'm going to try today to tell you a story. Actually, the story of development of now what should be in the following years a product. His name is Digisor. So I realized listening the first talk that probably I should change the name. Actually, it's named Digi because all of those products come from the same lab at the origin because Professor Norbert Louis was in the same lab at that time. I'm a researcher, so my presentation will be mostly research dedicated. All of those people here, my colleagues, participate to that work. And I will try to explain you almost 10 years of research to show you how we did converge to that solution in terms of product. So this concerns the prevention of pressure ulcer for paraplegic people. In generally speaking, in our lab we work on many kinds of handicap. But today I'm going to focus on the prevention of pressure sores for paraplegic people. So probably you know why there are some pressure sores for such people, but just to understand this, I must explain what happens when people like you guys are sitting for a long time in a given place and maybe sometimes get some pains at the interface between the cushion, the seat, and the buttock area. In your case, you perceive that pain unconsciously, and you analyze that pain and you act to justify that pain. But in the case of people who suffer from spinal cord injury, they do not receive the pain. So, of course, they can't move. And in that case, if you have too much overpressure for too much long time, then you can get some pressure ulcer which have a dramatic consequence for those people. So there is a paradigm that is interesting to see just to understand how we can compensate that. So if you look at all the different human senses, you can, usually when everything is working, you perceive, you integrate all those sensory modalities, and then you act as a consequence knowing those modalities. But when one or many modalities are not working, in that case, you can get in trouble. And from a scientific point of view, there is a very interesting paradigm, which name is the perceptual supplementation, which with this idea that consists in saying, okay, when a given modality doesn't work, you can try to use another modality to convey the information that the first modality was supposed to convey. So for doing that, so this paradigm was mainly proposed by our colleague Professor Bakirita, who worked with us since many times. The idea is knowing a given modality that doesn't work, then you have to compensate to measure what this modality is supposed to perceive. So you have to design a specific sensor, and then with some coupling device, you are able to reactivate another modality to convey the information. So this is the notion of supplementary perception that should help people to work better. So if I go back to this problem of paraplegic people who doesn't perceive the overpressure of the buttock area, so you can imagine now the solution. The solution will be to design a capture pressure sensor device. Actually, nowadays there are three main companies that sell those kind of materials. We start working with this kind of artificial pressure mat sensor made of about 1,000 sensors. This product costs something like $15,000, so it's quite expensive. But okay, we start with that, with those company products, and the idea is to measure the pressure at the buttock area, and then to send back this information to the brain. I will explain how to send it back to make the paraplegic person perceive this overpressure at the buttock area. So that's the idea. So we work on that project, and we start to dedicate situation in which people may have problem and may be at risk in terms of pressure ulcer. So for example, we did many experiments. I just put here a video that should work. Yes, it works. One of the experiments we carried out on a paraplegic person who was sitting in front of a movie. This is supposed to be at risk since the attention is dedicated to the movie, and the person can forget to move because they know that they have to move to eliminate the risk. And in that case, so as I said to you, we use this product, this analytical product, to have a real-time measurement of the pressure at the bottom area. So you can look at the matrix, quite not very ergonomic. It's not very flexible. I mean, it has a physical link to the computer. You can see the wire here. And this device, so it's connected to is plugged, of course, to get power, and is connected to the computer and to the wheelchair. So this kind of device only exists in a re-education center, as you can imagine. It's very expensive and it's quite complicated to put in place. And here you have the result. So you have in real time 32 by 32 measurements of the pressure at the bottom area. You can guess, imagine the kind of map of the pressure at the seat. So imagine we are able to detect some risk for pressure, so then we have to send back information, as I said to you. So we have to use other modality than the one that is not working. So we test different kind of modality, and we have to decide about a biofeedback, what we call biofeedback signal, into another working modality. So just to make things simple, we start with a simple biofeedback signal. Imagine, again, this is a pressure map at the right. In that case, we can support there is no pressure so risk. Imagine you have this kind of configuration, then you can get that in that case, maybe there is a risk. So we have to send a signal. And in that case, we can guess that this very simple message like, okay, move to the right, change your posture to the right, could decrease the risk for pressure ulcer. So stay with this simple message, go back to the right. What kind of modality could we use? So we test different kinds of modality with different people. The most natural one could be a visual modality. So in that case, the case of this patient looking at TV, you can imagine on the screen just plotting this kind of message to say, okay, there is a problem on your left, just change. So this could be done, of course, in the case of a visual display, but you can imagine that in the daily life, you can't do that. Again, in that case, you can use another modality, which is the acoustic modality, and superimpose on the earphone another signal. But again, you can imagine it's not very ergonomic in the case of the movie, especially. So in the lab, we test another modality with a quite strange device. If you don't know that, you will say, what a strange device, which is a tongue display unit. So what that's on the left. So we designed this device. It's a wireless device similar to the orthodontic palette used by the children. So you just plug on the teeth, and you can see a matrix of 6 by 6 electrons. Each of these electrons can be activated. So when people is going to push his tongue onto this electrode matrix, and you can perceive the electrode stimulation on given electrodes, and you can get a message. So this was used extensively in the framework of visual supplementation for blind people. So it's not our case here, but there is a kind of history in science. And in our case, this was inspired by the fact that on the right part of the screen, you can see an existing product which is proposed to quadriplegic people who usually have only the upper part of the body who is moving. And the trunk is important, and that product is interesting because the quadriplegic people can use that device to press on the sixth sensor to move his wheelchair. So that's an active, not a passive device, and an active device. So at that time, we had this idea of trying to combine both, especially for quadriplegic people. So we did some experiment again in that sense. And with this simple experiment, again, you want to move to the right, just put on the corresponding electrode and send if you want to move on the other side. That was the idea. And we did also many experiments in Grenoble Hospital with patients, with paraplegic patients trying to convince them that it could be used. But of course, we didn't succeed. You can imagine why now. But that's the idea. You look at the pressure map here. You have an increase here on the right, and then on the right part you can see what is sent to the tongue display unit, and then the person is going to move and suppress the overpressure. So after that, of course, we show that the tactile modality is interesting because it doesn't use a visual modality or the auditory modality, and people don't want to use those modalities because they use them every day. So they want to use another modality, and the tactile is very interesting from that point of view. But of course, as you can imagine, the trunk display unit is too big to be accepted by those people as a person. So we need to work further on that, but at that stage, we came back to Multicom, and we said, okay, now we are at the stage to really gather many people, many paraplegic people and quadriplegic people maybe, and try to think in terms of ergonomy and acceptability of the people. So to design what is now the Vigisor product I was talking as introduction. So I will let Anne just talking about what was done at that stage with this utility, usability, accessibility study. I will come back in 2 minutes.
So for the Vigisor project, we used participatory design process, and the objective was to identify the expectation and needs of the user, to help to choose the feature, to define the interface, and to know how the biofeedback is displayed to the patient. So we use a methodology with interviews and participatory design, and then prototyping the solution of interface. For the interviews, 7 people were interviewed with the following criteria. The interview were realized at their home about the idea of the project. For the participatory design, 6 people participate and 2 nurses. The session took place at home of one of the participants. And after the interview, we can identify the main feature, the main interesting feature. It was support point, inflation of the chair wheels, moisture object cushion, and inflation of the cushion. On this picture, you can see the interface proposition from the people after the participatory session. And with the work realized during the participatory session, we proposed interface. On this slide, you can see the interface for the support point. And on this one, you can see the interface for the chair wheels. So this was our work realized in this project.
Okay, thanks, Anne. So, as the kind of output to this study, so the conclusion that Anne raised, I can add other kind of specifications for the final product, which is very important, is the fact that this pressure map has to be low cost. I told you about this kind of between $10,000 and $15,000 each system. Of course, you can imagine people can't pay this kind of amount. So it has to be low cost. Anne was talking about moisture, and the other important thing was that the pressure map device has to be comfortable and washable. Ideally, it should be just around the cushion. That was a kind of specification. Other specification, in case of risk for pressure sore, then we should alert the person that this alert has to be discreet. I don't know if it is the exact English term, but you don't want to beep or to show. Those guys told us, okay, we are already handicapped people, so don't add another handicap, just lightning something or beeping something. So this has to be discreet. And another very important point, this device has to be subject specific. because it's highly dependent on the morphology, we know that, I will talk about it later, and it's also highly dependent on the activity of the postural behavior of the people, of the person. So that's the device I still call Vigisor, but definitely we will have to change it. Vigi again to survey the risk for SOR. So the first one is the main bottleneck, I would say, because to design something which is a low cost and as a consumable in some extent is very difficult. So at that stage, we already had strong coalition with our industrial partner, mainly the IDS company I was mentioning in the introduction. But at that time, we asked our industrial partner, and now a new company has been created, which name is Texsysense. I will talk about it later. To ask them, okay, would it be possible to design a pressure map, low cost and easily washable? And they told us, okay, so what would you want? Ideally, we said, okay, we would like something which would be 100% textile. So we went to look at people in research, and everybody said, no, it's impossible. And those guys did it, actually. They did it, so that's really the novelty of the product. The design, so you will, so design this kind of textile. You will have a demo of this textile later in the morning. Unfortunately, most of the matrix, I mean the nice matrix, are in clinical center. So the one you will see is really the one used for research. So it's not a nice device, but it works. So that's an important thing. So this textile can be put on the wheelchair or just around the cushion of the paraplegic people. And it is connected to a central unit, and this central unit analyzes in real time the cushion. You can see the cushion at the right of the figure. So this was a real novelty. That's probably why the French ministry decided to make Texsysense as a laureate of the French national application last year for that kind of device. That textile, so imagine we stay in this kind of simple kind of alert. Now we have to respond to another question. When do you think there is a risk for pressure sore or not? As no company before had provided such kind of project, we have to find some solution to this. And of course, we still do not have the response to that question. If we look at the literature, we have some information about the level of maximal pressure that can lead to a pressure sore. So it depends on if you have a high pressure for a short time, then you have a risk. Or also if you have a low pressure for a very long time, you also have a risk. So it's quite complicated. So we did integrate this kind of curve in the central unit to decide a given threshold, knowing the given pressure source. So we designed this notion of accumulation of pressure. As soon as you accumulate pressure in a given area and you stay below that curve, we estimate that there is no risk. But as soon as you go below that threshold, then you can assume that there is risk. So then we come back to this second specification, how to alert the person in a quite discreet way. And here again, we used two kinds of device. The first one is a kind of simple message that was asking for elderly people. They don't want to use other kind of modalities except to use a watch. So this kind of watch is vibrating to alert you. You have time to go to look at the message, and then you can see the very simple message. In that case, move to the left, in the case of this image. Or we can also use more complex biofeedback message, assuming that the person has a smartphone. Then you can also alert, vibrate, and display more complete message like the full pressure cartography or other kind of information you can provide in that sense. Finally, another very important point is the fact that this device has to be customized. What do I mean by that? We know that the surface pressure are not sufficient to estimate the risk for pressure sore. Why? Because mostly pressure sores appear inside the tissue, at the interface between the bony proeminence, here you have the ischium here, and the soft tissue. In that region, that is the location in which there is a location for overstress, and we need to estimate that region. So for that, we designed a real-time, what is called the finite element model. It's a mechanical model. It's a numerical mechanical model, virtual model that allows us from the pressure to estimate the internal stresses. So this is running in real time. So knowing the pressure at the bottom, you have the pressure of the measured by the textile. And here, knowing the pressure, we deform in real time the finite element model of the bottom area. So that's the external view. But this model is virtual model. You can have a slice. So if you do a slice of that model, you can then visualize what happens inside the tissue, and you can estimate the in red the overpressure, maximum pressure inside the tissue. So as you can imagine, this depends on the anatomy of the subject, the shape of the bony structure, and so on. So just to finish, two words. We did a first qualitative evaluation of this device on a paraplegic volunteer during 6 months, who was equipped at home of the device. This volunteer, this allowed, for example, us to do some kind of measurement. Here, just show you the total load. So for each day of the week, from Monday to Sunday, from morning to evening, the total load measured by the textile. So you can see, for example, that this person takes some naps during the weekend and not during the week. You can see some what we call relief. People have to relief to try to decrease the pressure. So we have quite a small number of relief. We can measure this kind of events, or we can also see interesting thing that if you only look at the high pressure, we see that if the person stays for a long period of time without moving, then you have a kind of accumulation of overpressure. And you can see at the beginning of the day this kind of pressure, and at the end of the day, this kind of strange pressure. Unfortunately, this patient has some hemorrhoid and some problem. That's why you have some strange cartography of pressure. And this was quite surprising to us, and it was found that this was due to the fact that this person was using a specific cushion which was made by gel. This gel cushion. So at the beginning of the day, the gel is just well located below the ischium, but as soon as we wait during the day, then the gel goes on the side, and of course you have this kind of overpressure. So that was important for the patient to know. Just to know, this person should be here online 11:45. Just if we have questions to him, it makes sense. Okay, we check that. Just last slide. We are going to start this year an important clinical evaluation on about 100 people in 3 hospitals in France who will be equipped with the matrix, fixed matrix during a month each. Just to know, another kind of illustration of what we also work on, that another project, we use the same textile to design for diabetic people who have the same kind of problem for pressure ulcer, but for the foot, diabetic foot pressure ulcer. We aim at design what we call intelligent socks made of that textile that will be able to measure the pressure all around the foot, which is important for those people who suffer from pressure ulcer of the feet due to the diet. Thanks for your attention.
Bonjour monsieur.
Bonjour.
Je voulais commencer par vous poser une question très générale par rapport à la technologie et comment vous l'appréciez.
Déjà, c'est très simple d'utilisation.
Very simple to use.
La seule difficulté, c'était de ne pas oublier de charger les batteries pendant la nuit.
The biggest problem is to forget to charge
Le reste du temps, j'ai aucun fil qui me relie à quoi que ce soit, un ordinateur, rien.
While it appreciates the wireless connection.
Et c'était d'autant plus intéressant que j'ai eu plusieurs fois des greffes de peau pour corriger des escarres aux fesses.
He's had several grefts, I forgot how you say grefts in English, grafts, skin grafts due to pressure sores. So it's really, really useful.
Yeah.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions spécifiques? Sorry, do you got specific questions you want to ask regarding how it's feeling towards the product?
Oui, j'aimerais connaître quelle est la version définitive de votre système, si c'est un écran de computer, d'ordinateur, ou si c'est avec le système de montre au poignet.
He wants to know what will be the final version, whether it's going to be a system using a screen-based solution. So this is his question to you: a screen-based solution or a watch-based solution.
J'ai envie de dire les deux, Jean-Paul. Qu'est-ce que toi tu préférerais? Je traduis à mesure que je parle. Hein. I would say both technology would be possible, and I'm asking him which one he would prefer. Laquelle tu préférerais, toi, un écran ou une montre?
La préférence, c'est vraiment la montre, parce qu'on peut l'avoir constamment sur soi. Il n'y a pas de système de liaison, même pas de... Il n'y a aucun fil qui nous relie, et puis c'est permanent.
So he really prefers the idea of having the watch version because it's just so much more practical, and the whole wireless side to that interaction with the technology is so much easier to deal with.
As I said this morning, this is not the case for everybody. I mean, young people very used with smartphone definitely prefer those kind of solutions.
Oui, je peux ajouter, l'écran donnait une très grande précision sur les différents points et les pressions. Mais en usage définitif, il est suffisant de savoir à droite, à gauche, devant, derrière.
It's very simple to use and very, very precise. He still finds that from using the screen, it's very easy to identify the areas where excessive pressure has been placed and thereby correct.
Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Other questions?
Yeah. What type of cushion he used before using this device?
Utilisez quoi comme coussin avant d'utiliser le dispositif ici? C'était quel genre de peut-être vous m'entendez pas. C'était quoi comme coussin que vous avez utilisé avant?
Alors avant, j'ai toujours un jet active et qui est un système avec un gel, une poche de gel pour répartir les pressions.
It's a J active system which was used to spread the pressure via the gel.
Un jour, dans un centre de rééducation à Grenoble, j'ai testé un système où il y avait aussi des sensors dans le coussin, mais c'était une toile très rigide qui faussait la mesure et qui obligeait à être reliée à l'ordinateur.
He used another system in a rehabilitation system in Grenoble, which was quite interesting, but it wasn't wireless, and he found this a major problem.
La proposition, les essais que j'ai faits avec une toile très mince sont beaucoup plus représentatifs des pressions. Ils ne modifient pas la mesure.
Ah, j'ai pas entendu.
He said that thanks to the textile, there is no modification of the pressure due to the mattress.
An important point is that the question before was what type of cushion he used before the system. But he didn't change his cushion. He used the same cushion with the system. Here, this cushion is just for demonstration. Inside, you have just a thin layer of gold pressure sore.
Jean-Paul, la question c'était, si tu veux, ce matin, parmi les choses qu'on a observées, c'est par exemple que du fait de la présence de gel dans ton coussin, quand tu restais longtemps en place, au bout d'un moment, le gel partait sur les côtés et donc il y avait une surpression qui apparaissait au niveau des points. Et donc la question c'est, est-ce que tu serais prêt à changer de coussin un jour? Pourquoi est-ce que tu restes avec un coussin gel plutôt qu'un autre type de coussin?
J'ai déjà testé de nombreux coussins. Quand ils ne sont pas anti-escar, j'ai régulièrement des surpressions, même des deux côtés. Par contre, j'ai essayé un autre système qui s'appelle ROO, qui est de l'air comprimé, enfin de l'air. Et lui, il est efficace pour ce qui est des escars, mais il est extrêmement instable pour la position et pour vivre dessus.
Okay, so he's used he's used other cushions, a model called, I think I can't grab the name of the model that he was using. There was an excessive pressure on the sides. J'ai pas entendu qu'est-ce que vous avez dit après ça, monsieur, à la fin de la phrase, je n'ai pas entendu. Pas tout à fait.
Avec le coussin ROO, coussin à air, Je suis très instable comme position, je peux très facilement tomber sur le côté, sur un autre, au niveau des appuis du dos, c'est trop mobile.
Okay, so with the compressed air version, the main problem is the lack of stability and the tendency to move to veer towards one particular side. It's not sufficiently stable.
I think this is something you need to consider, you see, because if the patient is saying that their posture in the wheelchair is going to be affected, I mean, that change of posture within the pelvis could create more pressure on one side and the other is one thing, and might affect the muscle tone in the long term. So their positioning would be extremely difficult in a wheelchair if they're spastic, if they got a twisted pelvis as a result of the positioning and so on. So these things mean, probably you need to look at possibly a firmer surface under that cushion to stop that from happening, because if this is like to keep